high school. So just going to go ahead and announce what will be coming in front of you, so they can go ahead and start planning with get it on the diplomas and their announcements and everything.
Can't hear him.
Can you not hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
I can hear you.
I can hear him.
Me too. John, it's just you. We're not going to let you find out what's going on.
May have to turn his up like he did the others.
Yeah. I hear everybody.
I didn't know what office you were in.
Talk to me.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we're good.
Okay, good.
All righty.
All right.
The Ruth's office.
Okay. I'm gonna announce some dates for us, and on today's agenda, you'll be approving the graduation dates for the Mac Center and the high school. But I'm just gonna go ahead and announce them during my comments, kind of get everybody, and also announce that long-awaited, the most questions I've had since January is, are we going to have a prom? Well, the high school called today, and they have confirmed the German American Bank Ballroom at the Convention Center in Owensboro, and the prom is going to happen. There's got to be some regulations they got to follow, but the high school will share that with the students. There'll be a pod system where 10 per can stay together and pretty much work with social distancing. The pods and the convention center is working with that. It's going to be on May 1st is the prom date. May 1st. Okay, the last day of school is May 18th, but we're going to senior graduation. That was a Tuesday, and they booked the sports center for the May 21st as our McLean County High School graduation date. We can get more people, more family can show up at the sports center. The board's gracious enough to work with the high school, and we just decide instead of having two-person split sessions or have it on the football field where we would have to put the kids in the stadium because our stadium holds less than our gym, and the parents out on the football field, and where are we going to get that many chairs? The sports center was open, and we're going to go use our graduation this year on May 21st for the high school at the sports center. On the 18th, the last day of school, the seniors were asked, and they asked me if it's okay for them to do, and they wanted another senior parade. They liked what the seniors had last year. They wanted a parade, so that last day of school, May 18th, they're going to have a senior parade. They're going to call in Judge Dane, but probably through Meyer Creek again, when it worked out well for everybody last year. So May 18th will be the senior parade. And on Friday's a McLean County High School graduation. The day before, Thursday, May 20th, the MAC will have a graduation at the auditorium at the high school. They should have 5 or 6, 7 kids. I can't remember what they told me. That for the first year, they're going to have a graduation ceremony for those kids on the 20th. One other announcement, the boys start out district tournament tonight at Ohio County, and our girls playing a district championship Thursday night at Ohio County. So good luck to our teams. I think it's from what I've written down. Last. Hopefully, if everything keeps going with the numbers, this will be our last virtual board meeting. We can go back to normal board luncheons and board meetings in our boardroom.
Amen.
But we will still have our luncheons here instead of going. We won't follow the schedule because we're still not having visitors in our school. So the lunches will still be here, but we'll have our board luncheon at noon in April, and our regular board meeting. It was moved this year to 5:30, and it will be here in the boardroom. So hopefully, if everything works out, we'll come back to normal board meetings. That's all I have, Mr. Miller.
All right. Thank you. Look like we have approval of individual action items. The first one is consider approval of February 25th, 2021 special call board meeting minutes. And does anyone have any, have you looked over them or have any problems with them?
I'm good.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All righty. Katie, are you ready? Are you
Oh,
okay?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All righty, I am. All right, Mr. Burrow,
I recommend we approve the February 25th special call board meeting minutes.
all right, you heard the recommendation. Do you hear a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Second,
Second.
Ms. Bumpus, thank you. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? No? All righty. Next item will be consider approval of 2021 graduation date.
The board, the board sets the date of graduation, even though the last day of school is the 18th. I'm recommending to the board to set the dates for the McLean County Alternative Center for Thursday, May 20th at the high school auditorium. And I'm recommending McLean County High School Friday, May 21st at Sports Center as the graduation dates.
All right. Do we have times on those yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Usually it's around 7 o'clock for the Friday night one, but I got to get with them and see what they going to be printing on their announcements.
All righty.
I make a motion we approve those dates for graduation.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bumpus. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Howard, thank you. All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? No? All right. The ayes or yeses have it. And next thing would be discussion of March 18th, 21 board meeting agenda.
The construction items, we have a change order in front of you. You should see it for $66,520 to go on to our HVAC project at Calhoun Elementary School. I mentioned to you that during they're going through the walkthroughs. We have a geothermal system at the elementary school, and through the process, we have seen that the piping, PVC piping for geothermal loop line in our schools is not geothermal rated, and it's regular PVC colored black pipe. If this ever cracks or blows, it's going to be a big waterfall in Calhoun Elementary. So while we're doing the HVAC, they asked us if they want to go ahead and replace this with a geothermal rated loop line instead of the PVC, or leave it the way it is. And I'm coming to you to ask for, recommend to approve this change order for us to make sure we have done this right.
How much did you say this is going to run?
$66,520.
How come they didn't put it in to begin with?
That was when 1995.
97, 98.
Yes. I couldn't tell you that, but it lasted this long, but they said we were very lucky.
Well, we want it fixed right. I believe this time we don't want to mess with it, take chances on it again. I doubt if it'd make another 20 years, 25. Have any opinions from the rest of you?
Is there a reason it wasn't in the original bid?
Yes, because, I mean, what the bid is, what to put in the HVAC. During the inspection and walkthroughs, they found this, and this wasn't part of what we put in the bid. They found this and brought it to our attention. And they said, do you want us to fix this while we're already up there and doing it? And that's what Mr. Troutman, is that correct?
That is correct. Everything that you're saying is correct. So yeah, we had already opened bids. Our architects had already put the scope of work into place. And it was later determined, after they'd already put that scope of work in place, that those black lines were indeed just black PVC pipe. That is not the geothermal loop rated pipe. So at the beginning, even before we opened bids, our architect mentioned to us we probably need to go on to a change order for that now. So again, my understanding would be when the scope of work was made, and we even talked about keeping all of the geothermal loop line that we could. I think originally they thought it was geothermal loop line, but after getting a look a lot closer, it's just not rated for what it needs to be.
I just hate that. Probably our architect should have caught that whenever they were going in doing the testing back then or checking it out. And apparently they didn't check it then. Different group now for quite a few years. All right.
From a financial standpoint, this is a $1.35 million project, and we have 10% in contingencies for items that are found like this. Which leaves us $135,000 set aside for change orders if they are necessary. So it's in the budget, just in case you're wondering.
So this will eat half of our 10% then.
Yes, ma'am.
And sometimes
My
they end up,
thought is, if we know it's there and we don't fix it, then we're negligent.
that's right. All right. Any other discussion? If not, Mr. Burrow, need a recommendation?
I recommend we approve the change order for Calhoun HVAC project.
All right. Heard the recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
All right, Mr. Howard, thank you. Second?
I'll
Second. Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
that's for Thursday.
Pardon?
That's
This-
Thursday's
this
agenda.
Thursday, I'm sorry, this is just agenda.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're just going over it. Nobody needs to do anything.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry
You're
about that.
welcome.
That's
I
right.
even got everybody else on it. Sorry.
Hey, I was right there with you. The next one is, I've mentioned to y'all that our HVAC system is controlled by servers where, you keep up and, but we are now on our server is a dinosaur, meaning if it breaks, we can't control our HVAC or air and our heat. They don't make the parts anymore. We are moving over to Train in the system at the Calhoun Elementary, and we have some Train in some other schools. But we want to go to Train that connects all schools. Every school in the district will be able to be programmed with the same system where we don't have two or three of them that we have to use. This project is through capital outlay, and I'm gonna let David talk a little bit about that. So basically, it's not general fund money. It's our construction money that we could use that we get. So David, you want to share on the finance part of it?
Yes, sir. We have $102,000 of capital outlay left this year, and capital outlay is in the 300 series of funds, which means it can only be used for construction processes or for the financing of construction processes. So if we don't use this money by June 30th, it will actually go into an escrow account and will just lessen the amount of bonds that we would pursue on a future construction project, maybe 3 to 5 years down the road. So it would be sitting there for 3 to 5 years. And we feel like this would, it's something that our district's been talking about for years. And it's just that we haven't been able to afford it out of general fund. Well, now we have access to other funds that will not affect our general funds to pay for this. So I'm happy to say that we've got $102,000. The price I don't know if that's been mentioned yet, but
$84,650 for the upgrade.
so 84 construction, there'll be some contingencies. Again, we'll put some in there, and there'll be minor architect fees involved. So I feel like we have an adequate amount of non-general fund monies to finance this project.
Also on this now, won't they be able to control some of this off-site?
Mr. Troutman, you want to share? You've been more in the meetings than I have.
That is correct. Yes, he'll be able to control it off site. We'll be able to, like you said, anywhere that has internet access would be able to physically see in each individual classroom if a unit was running. It even gets a little more in depth and may tell you some step-by-step things that if a unit wasn't running, where to start at. You know, it could be a fan blower, it could be a relay. So it will diagnose some of the minor stuff, but the biggest thing is being able to set those set points. Those, oh, by the way, we've got an event tonight, forgot to tell someone, on a Saturday night, need to turn the heat on. You could remote in and just be able to turn heat or air on at any given time as long as you have internet access.
And it would be used on your cell phone also. You can use it on your
That is
cell phone.
correct.
All
That's
right.
pretty nifty.
And this controls all the buildings?
Yeah, we'll have to put them all. We got a quote for every building to do this.
And at least they're all the same program now, or the same train. I think we had a couple others that weren't.
And they have a way to sync it to this program too. They went and looked at every school and gave us a quote, and that's 84,000 is all the quotes together.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I was specifically thinking of our gyms in the winter when they're playing ABA and who the first team that gets there and the gym is 50 degrees. This will take care of that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Or a phone call could take care of that problem real
Yeah.
quick.
All right. See, the next one, back to Mr. Troutman, I think.
Basically, this is just to hire the same architect we've been using, Gleifelter's, I can't even pronounce it, Semicar, as the architect for this district HVAC project. We have to have it if we're doing a BG.
And I think I'm very impressed with them. They've done an awfully good job for us, I think. Best I've seen since I've been on the board. All right, Mr. Burrow.
The rest of the consent agenda would be today's minutes, fundraisers. You have your fundraisers there, so we've gone over them. There may be one added. I'm waiting on, I think the high school to give me an I'm not sure, revisions of how they're going to sell the greenhouse. There was some stuff in there that didn't fit Red Book and other stuff that we need to have changed and more supervision for during the day with adults and with public coming in and everything else. So that will probably be added on by Thursday. Everything looks fine. Field trips. We have one field trip which one was it, Mr. Troutman?
ROTC is going to a
competition
in Evansville, and in the all the other field trips are CBI trips.
Okay. Substitute, you have approval of substitute. I'll let Mr. Troutman talk. He has we had our student insurance bid some different companies, and I'll let Mr. Troutman go ahead and do that one.
We do have on the consent agenda, Roberts Insurance. We've had Roberts Insurance as a student accident insurance for several years here. It should be a packet in your handout, and they go through 3 different companies to get quotes, and it's based on the amount of claims that we've had in the last 3 years, and then obviously how much we pay out. Long story short, through Roberts Insurance being our agent, the low bid to Zurich American is $40,670.40. Also in that packet, it shows on that back page all of your benefits, the catastrophic summary of benefits. So if you have any questions on that, it's on the back page. And as you're going through that, if you need additional information, I can get it to you.
I will be recommending that 40,000 bid.
Do we really have a lot of student claims? Or is it mainly sports?
Sports,
Yeah. Okay.
playgrounds and sports,
What? I'm
The-
sorry. What was
playgrounds and sports,
playgrounds and sport?
gyms.
Yeah.
I see the accident death and specific loss benefit. Is that per person or is that as a whole?
Yes, I think I'll get clarification, but the last time I checked on that, and that was 2 years ago, but I will double check again, but that should be per incident.
Okay. So at that, and I'm throwing out a scenario, say you had 4 students that were injured. Would that,
It's each individual.
Yeah,
each individual? Okay. All
per
right.
person. It's not per
Yeah.
incident. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
The next two, basically, is the ESSER two assurances that this is the federal money that's coming in, that the state's telling us how to spend. Then also, we found out possible what they're going on in the legislation right now. We heard that this, since we're getting this money, looks like the state's going to cut seat again. I haven't got the details because they're still voting this, that, and the other. Who would thought that would happen again? It's against the law of the plant, but they can do it. They don't understand that. The next one, the assurances is basically the board approves to take this money. That's what, and we'll do it the way the federal government says we do it. That's what that insurance is. That will bring to you on Thursday. The next one, this is the 8515 ESSER 2 that I'm asking the board. You want us to try to spend within the direct services of 85%, and that way we get $70 per kid by the state back. Or, I think Dave and I have talked. We feel really good that we can follow the rules of 85% and end up coming to us, David, per 1819 or yeah,
A little over 100,000.
So that's extra money we get if we can follow this. So I would have to ask the board to approve for us to go for the 85% so we can get this extra money if we do it. So basically, they want it on the agenda for us to approve that we're going to try to stay within the boundaries of what the state says we have to do for 15%, so we can get some extra money from the state. That's what
What
that
about that?
Basically, the grant says you can, to make it simple, purchase 80 different things out of this grant. But the commissioners decided, yes, but I want you to purchase these 25 things. And if you will, we're going to give you an incentive for $75 per ADA for the 18-19 year. And if we can keep our expenditures within the 25 codes, and I'm just using numbers here, but less than half, then we'll get that extra $100,000. And as Mr. Burrow said, I don't see how we could ever tell you we don't want to try for that. I feel like we can move the money around and play the game, and our district will be better off for it. More money for the students.
Anytime we can beat them at their own game, I love it.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's all consent agenda. The next one will be bills. You have that. We'll talk. If you have any questions, we'll discuss it on Thursday. The next two is a school bus. I'll let Mr. Troutman, but I'll tell you about on C, what this is. We are going to, if you approve the surplus of bus, and Kista is going to bid it out and send it out to everywhere, and they'll get bids back. They send those bids to us, and basically you have 7 days to say yes or no. The highest bid is usually what you do. You take your highest bid, whoever, then the KISTA will give them the information, say we accepted your bid. They call us and we set up a meeting for them to come and get it. We go to the courthouse, sign it over, and they pay. So basically, once they, KISTA is the best way to sell because they're doing all the work. And they just set up the money and send it, which one we want to pick. So what the last one is, within that 7 days, we may or may not have a board meeting. So they send a resolution and say, I'm going to take the highest bid if you give the superintendent reasonable permission to act on behalf of the board to take the highest bid so we can take the bid and don't lose it. So that's what that resolution is from KISTA. So we can basically, whatever they send us as the highest bid, then I'll turn around and let everybody know what I accepted for the board.
We've never done this before, have we?
It is the easiest way. Instead of doing, you get more for your money.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're sending it out. I mean, I've sold some to Mexico when I was in Hopkins County. You get a lot of money coming in. A lot of people bid on the school buses.
That sounds good.
Instead of just right here. So
Sounds good.
that's what that KISTA used bus resolution and also that, we're going to surplus a 1997 school bus. You want to tell a little bit about that school bus for them to know what?
Sure, I can. And also in your packet, it says the KISTA 2021 school bus inventory. That bus that's listed on that is the bus we're surplus. And so, yeah, it's a 97 bus. It has 186,000 miles. It has not transported students, has not been on the road for at least 3 years. They drive it around the lot. It does run. As you can see down at the bottom, we're supposed to kind of give an overall condition of the bus. It's got an airline leak, but the motor runs good and the drivetrain's good. So that's the bus that will be surplusing.
All right.
And Dave will do the treasury report, personnel reports you will receive or you received, school reports. I think there was, okay, we come back. I know Jody is on the agenda for today. I need to remember we got to come back to Jody in a minute. But that's all I have for the Thursday night, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. And are we ready for Miss Jody? I think we are, aren't we? There she is.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Burrow, and the board. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time to give you an update on our state testing for schools this year. Last year, the federal government granted states a waiver application, and Kentucky did apply for that, so we did not test last spring, which was a good thing because we weren't even in the buildings at that time. But this year, the federal government is not allowing states to apply for a waiver of actually taking the assessment. So we will be giving the state assessment to our students. The state is allowing a waiver, or the federal government is allowing the state to apply for a waiver that would waive accountability. So what that means to us is we will take the test and we will get student data, but the state won't necessarily do their formula where they assign an overall score to each school, which you would have seen in a school report card. And a couple years ago, they assigned stars. Each, you had a 3-star school or a 4-star school. They won't be doing that overall accountability for this year due to all the pandemic and the things going on with our interrupted year, but we will take a test. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what they've changed, because the federal government did allow them to apply to have more flexibility in what we do with testing. So the state is working to help our school systems in the best way they can. So they have, with this flexibility, in the past, we had our testing window used to have to be in the last 14 days of school, but we had to pick 5 days to complete it in. Now they're allowing us to use the entire 14 days. So we have more days. And what that will allow us to do is set 2 testing schedules, one for our in-person students and one for our virtual students, because they do want us to try to get our virtual students in to be tested, since they are enrolled in our schools and our student population, to help provide us information for the future about how those instructional systems have worked this year. So we will create each school will create 2 schedules, one for their in-person students and one for their virtual students. And I met with our building assessment coordinators today and have got them started in the thinking process of creating that schedule. So that's one flexibility they've given us, is that we can use the entire 14 days. Another flexibility is that they have allowed the state to make the test shorter. So they have decreased our testing for students, I feel, significantly. In the past, we had multiple sections for each content area, and each of those could range anywhere from 60 minutes to 120 minutes with multiple sessions. This year, every test that our students are taking will only be 60 minutes, except for the on-demand writing, which will be 90 minutes. And in those 60-minute sessions for most content areas, there will only be one section. For example, reading at one time had an A, B, and a C part, 3 separate tests. So this year it will just have an A. There'll be a reading 60-minute test at grades 3 through 8, and then at grade 10. There will be a math 60-minute test at each of those grade levels as well. Then 4th, 7th, and 11th grade will take a science test. That's the same grade levels we've done it in the past, but it's being shortened down to a 60-minute test. Then grades 5, 8, and 11 will do the on-demand writing. Same grade levels they've done in the past, but it's been taken down to one section with one prompt. So it is much less, significantly less testing on our students. For example, your 3rd grade is testing 120 minutes, is all they have is a math and a reading. So this is significant less testing. They also do have a climate, make sure I get the name right, Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey. Last year we did this as a field test, but all of our students in the testing grades will complete this survey. It's just a 20-minute survey, not right or wrong answers, just the state gathering data about how perception of our students, how they feel about our school climates, and if they feel safe at school. So that is a 20-minute survey, which I do not know yet if that survey will come back as public or not. Last year we did a field test with it. Our schools got the information, but it wasn't put out publicly. So, but hopefully this is information that will help the states and us as we get to see how our students perceive the school climate and safety. So for our calendar right now, if you do not come across a reason that it has to be changed, our 14 days is April 29th. It's a Thursday. So most of our testing schools probably won't start till May 3rd to start their 5-day. They may decide to set a schedule with their virtual kids or something on that 29th and 30th. I'm not sure. I just met with them today, so they're just now getting their brains wrapped around it and thinking about how they want to create that. So we don't have those set just yet. But also on the testing, when we look at, they provide us a chart that tells us about types of questions. And in the past, we've had, you may remember them being called open response, and they're extended response questions, things like that, that are a longer answer. Very few of the tests are going to have those this year, as they've cut it down to 60 minutes. I believe there's only one grade level in reading that has one of those questions. The rest are all multiple choice and short answer type questions. Math, there's only one grade level that I think has one of those also. And I believe our science tests have a couple of those. But for the most part, they've cut our testing significantly. And I wanted to make sure you understood that, because if you hear people talking about, we usually test over 5 days, and you may hear people saying now we're doing 14 days of testing. Well, it's more time to complete it, but it's actually a lot less testing. So I just want you to be aware of that in case anyone asks you questions, that you would understand that although it's a longer window, they're giving us that window so we can accomplish getting our virtual academy students in, and we can make a flexible schedule with all we've been through this year. So I do think the state is trying. I know we have a lot of disappointed people that we're actually going to give a test at this point with the type of year we've had, but I do feel like the state is doing the best they can to fit under the federal guidelines, which they have to do for us to receive all the federal money we do. receive.
I'm cool with that as long as we don't do that case 21, because that's an unnecessary test as far as I'm concerned this year.
I agree.
Because we do not need to waste time on that when we have been out of the classroom. That was something I think that we as a district purchased and decided to do. It's not a mandatory test. So I don't think we need to take time, put more pressure on our teachers, put more pressure on our students, because I don't care what that shows. I want our kids getting instruction time.
Right.
And I don't think that they need any more pressure on tests, because I don't think tests really tell us anything. I don't think that really measures what our kids are learning, because some kids can take a test and don't know crap about what's going on. And some kids can't take tests, but are excellent students and are learning in the classroom. I have a kid that graduated magna cum laude, but she can't test worth of crap. So, I mean, I don't think testing is a good, and if it's not a state mandated test, I don't think we need to be doing it. Not this year.
Well, I will tell you that the primary level, the state does not provide a test, but they do mandate we give one. So the primary will be taking the case 21 as our state test for them. We always have to give a test for K through 2, and the state doesn't provide the test, but yet they mandate we give one so that they know that we are continually assessing our students. So although the primary, I mentioned the K-Prep is 3 through 8 and 10 and 11, we do have to give some, it is in regulation that we test our primary students also.
But you all see how it comes across when we hear as parents these testing windows that they're, you know, that you're saying like K-Prep, okay, it's a 14-day window. But in reality, these kids have been tested quite a lot this year. And this isn't it. It's not just K-Prep. It's more than that. And parents are, I tell you what, they're pretty ticked about the testing. And it's not just me.
Well, I mean, I'm getting stopped about that too. And I don't say that I'm excited, but I was really excited for them to talk to me about education things. But I agree. I think we over test. I mean, if state mandate, I get. When I was in school, we did achievement tests. I got it. But we did it at the end of the year and we were done. These kids are tested. And I'm not an educator. I don't get it. But when our teachers don't get why they're doing it either, then I think there's a problem.
Well, Ms. Bumpus, I'll tell you, I'm a big proponent of assessments. The reason why, if our scores, we don't have any idea through data where our kids are. If we don't go through that on the standards, that's what they test us. We don't get the K-Prep scores back till what, October, November?
Usually.
We have no idea where they're at. So we're starting them in a new grade and not knowing what the standards. If it goes back, I'll tell you, I've been at a school district in a school that I took over that was at the bottom. And if you don't have assessments, they're going to come in and make you do it. That's the thing with the issue. You have to show data. You have to, I mean, they test more over in another district than we ever did here.
I'm not saying we don't need to do assessments.
But when you're talking about MAPS and Case 21 and K-Prep, and it's on and on and on. And I mean, when I go talk to my son's teachers, he knows what they need. They know what I'm a huge advocate that we have spent a world of money hiring professionals to teach our students. Let them teach. Let them teach.
And not teach to a test.
I agree. I've got a bunch of licenses and I had to learn how to pass a test. That is not what I do every day. There is nothing on any of my tests that I've ever taken that I use on a daily basis. So I had to learn to pass a test. But that's not real world. And I want more for our kids.
Well, go ahead. I just think that if we have to do the state assessments, let's do the state assessments because we need funding. But if it's not a state assessment, then don't do it. I'd rather not mine, because mine doesn't test like everybody else's, but I would rather our students be listening to the teachers that we pay to teach and not teach to a test.
I do want to just tell you that in comparison to when we have a normal school year, we did take out some testing this year. We did not do a winter maps test. We omitted that this year because we did the winter case 21 so that we could look at state standards instead of the screener. And we did not do the case 21. I just want you to know what we did or didn't do, that we understand and so what I'm wanting to make sure you understood with the 14 days is, I know that's going to sound like longer testing, but that's why I want you to understand it's actually much shorter than what they've done. The state has shortened those tests to 60 minutes per content, as opposed to over 120 to 150 minutes per content.
And I mean, like, I'm not going to argue about K-Prep's K-Prep. It is what it is. But as far as all of the other, what I'm worried about, and this is part of the reason that I'm here, is because there are a lot of parents that do not understand nor want their kids tested as much. And I know what's going to happen. We're going to get through COVID and everything's going to go right back to normal. And we're going to go to doing MAPS tests 19 times a year in case 21. And then we're going to get to the end of the year, and parents are going to be like, we've been testing all year. And well, now it's K-Prep and we have to. Well, then what was all that? So I'm afraid that there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to say fell on COVID. We did this different in COVID, but now things are back to normal. I don't necessarily know that normal is a good thing on testing. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. But again, I can have a conversation with all of my son's teachers, and they know where he is. And I have a lot of faith in our teachers. Maybe I put too much faith in them. I don't know, but
we're going to have some form, or at least we'll look at one test. We've got to have some assessment. We've got a strategic plan that schools have to come up with their numbers to get data from. So, I mean, we can scratch our strategic plan and not pretty much find out where our school is moving forward to the next year through the state assessment. But it's a monitoring system for our school district throughout the year. I don't know how to have a strategic plan and not plan for moving forward. So that's one way we could talk about this at any time. Yes.
Well, I'm stupid, and I admit that readily.
No.
But
No.
who does it benefit? And that's my question. Does it look good on paper?
No.
Does it benefit, or does it truly benefit the teachers to tell them where to go? Because some of these teachers are in total frenzy. Mm-hmm. And if they're in a frenzy, does that help them in the classroom? Or are they so oh my God, then, because all I can do is compare it to what I do. Mm-hmm. And when they say state is coming in, okay, if we just kind of do this every day, then I shouldn't get upset when state walks in the building. If I do it like I'm supposed to do it every day, and I do my work exactly like I'm supposed to every day, then I don't care. Florence Nightingale should walk through that door, and it shouldn't upset me at all.
A lot of this, Case 21, what it basically does, it gives the teachers a feedback of where these kids are in their standards, and where these teachers, either if they have to move forward or backwards to basically keep the kids caught up to where they need to be.
Won't they just know that by teaching their kids? I mean, if they're with them every day, won't they just know that? I mean, my teachers knew that when I was in school. I'm just asking. I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
It's just basically like this: when we have a school that's low in test scores, from K-Prep, just say K-Prep, we have done an injustice if we wait a whole nother year to find out we didn't do something right. So we should never have bad test scores at all in the K-Prep. If we have to, that's why you monitor these kids as a teacher as a teacher, when I taught, when I went on, a good one's going to look in the mirror and say, I'm not letting these kids fail these tests because it's a representative of what I do in the classroom. We can't just sit there and say, wait have 6 months to see if that we did good or not. That's what these assessments are for, is to make sure we give a feedback to a teacher and go, okay, these kids are where they need. Maybe I need to reassess something if the kids didn't get this part, multiplications. Maybe they didn't get, we're moving them forward, but if the kids are not showing they got it, we don't test them. We can't wait till next year this happen.
But isn't that the teacher's job in the classroom when they do their own testing?
Yes.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Isn't that their job when they do their test? Isn't that their assessment skill to say this kid's they're not getting the multiplication?
I would like to add
Why
one.
does it need to go to the whole? I just don't grasp that. I've looked at it. I've tried to, I've talked to different teachers that are absolutely terrified to say anything.
Yes, they are. Yes.
And so I've gone to teachers and I'm like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just talk to me. Explain this. I understand K-Prep. I understand maths. You don't explain that. Explain the other testing we do. The ability for me to assess my own students has been taken away from me. That's why they went to school. They were taught to assess their kids. And I'm not saying we're the only people who do that. When I've gone to school board conferences and networked, I've heard that. And other board members in other districts are just as frustrated. And they're like, my hands are tied. I can't get anybody to listen to what I'm saying either. So that's my biggest problem. So if we do this case 21 and we want to see where our kids are at, our kids are behind. They have missed almost 2 years of school. So I don't care what great job we've done. I'm not an educator. I'm a parent. And my son is making great grades. And he can take a test better than I would dare to say anybody sitting in this office right now. But has he learned anything this year? Nope. And he will tell you right out of his mouth. Mr. Morris's class, he can spout off everything he's learned in that class. But that's it. He has not learned anything in 2 years. And that's nobody's fault. But if he was to take the case 21 or whatever to see where he's come from this year, he's no further along than he was when he was a sophomore. And I'm not blaming anybody. That's just the nature of the beast, that what we've gone through. But I think that we've gotten so into testing, we've taken the teachers' ability to do their own assessment skills, what they went to school for. My teachers assessed me, and I think we turned out fine. And I know the regulations from the state and federal government, because everybody's stupid unless you're in government, they've taken everybody's ability to think for themselves away. But that's why teachers went to college, and they got their degrees in those areas. I think we ought to trust them to do their job. And if they're not doing their job, then we don't want them in our, we don't want them. But I think we have some of the best teachers there are. My opinion, and I don't know. But I'm like Katie. Every teacher that I've talked to for both my kids could tell me what they needed, and they never looked at a test score to tell me. They could tell me what my kids needed. And I'm not downing anybody. It's my opinion. But it's an opinion of a lot of our educators in this system, and it's an opinion of a lot of parents in this system. And I think
I'm afraid we're going to start having parents pull kids out of school. I really am. I know it's already been bad this year, but I've talked to a lot of parents that are about at their wits' end with it. And I think y'all just need to hear it, that this is what's out there. And these are the conversations that are being had, that everybody, teachers are scared to say anything and parents are scared to say anything. And that's the reason I had enough and I'm here. So, I guess I'm the only one crazy enough to open my mouth. So.
No, you got the crazy train right behind you. And I'm not trying to be negative.
Fear being able to come and speak to someone on it. I mean, I don't know why they would be afraid to. They need to express their frustration with problems that they've got. And it's hard to settle anything and fix anything if they don't go and confront the issue on it. And
well, I know a bunch of them wrote letters last year, didn't they, Angie? Didn't you get a whole bunch of letters?
Well, I had a problem with that because I don't like anonymity. If you want to talk to me, you talk to me. I'm an adult, they're adults. And I've expressed that. You can come talk to me anytime, day or night. I don't care.
But the letters were concerning testing primarily, though, right?
Yeah. Yes. But I've had people that have come and talked to me personally that are not just teachers, but they're parents. And they don't feel, even when they get the test scores back, that it really helps the students. But they're not going to say that because they know their job is on the line.
Mm-hmm. Heard it too.
We will, charge, we'll look and see, kind of shorten some of these things in the next future, next year. And maybe we're looking at one test. We've got to have something. I mean, we got to do it by state rules.
And I'm not trying to say, and I'm not being negative, but there's got to be some happy medium. There's got to be something. And I think parents with the virtual reality have thought, I can do this at home. You know what I mean?
I will say that Miss Foster just sent that, is Kelly on here? That 96% of her students are back in person.
That's great.
So, and I think the high schools had some come in.
For me at the middle school today, I did an update on students to see, because we had a lot Monday that just walked in and said, my mom says I'm back. So I put my face on. I said, my mom says I'm back. So I said, that's great. Come on in. We'll find room for you. So Miss Kelly ran a report for me this morning, and I'm sitting at 96% of students right now are going to be in person. Hopefully that will stay that way. I've kind of given them a deadline within a week, because for us at the middle school, the way we do virtual and in person is a little different, because the swapping back and forth from week to week, it just can't happen. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have a more accurate number, but I was highly encouraged by that.
I heard Calhoun had a bunch come back too. Is that right, Kim?
Yes, that's correct. We've had lots of students come back. We've had 4 from actual homeschool come back, and lots of students from Virtual Academy return to in-person.
That's wonderful.
I think
That's great.
SAC is pretty good too, I think. Mr. Farley, I think I saw him on there just a moment ago. Mr. Farley?
How about Mr. Nelson right now?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes, we also had, sort of like Miss Foster, they just kind of walked in the door yesterday or went to the classrooms, and we got all kinds of emails and phone calls from student or teachers saying so-and-so's here, they're listed as virtual. Probably after the final 9 weeks begins tomorrow, I don't know that we'll be at 96%, but we're inching up to 90.
That's wonderful.
Good.
I will let you know that the teachers that I've talked to have not been from one particular school. They have been from every school in the county. High school, middle school, Calhoun, Sacramento, Livermore. And so, I mean, it's across the board. It's not one school that says, and they're all afraid. I don't think they're necessarily afraid of their principal. They're just afraid to say anything because they know this is what we do.
Well, I
And-
mean, how's anyone going to correct that if they don't? If they're not afraid of them, they
Well,
should.
evidently, a precedent has been set at some point or another that that the teachers don't have a say so. And I'm not saying it was this year, last year, 5 years ago, but at some point or another, there has been a precedent set. Teachers they can't stand up. And I heard that long before I ever came on the board. And we need to change that perception. And that's what I've said. Please call me. Tell me if you can't speak for yourself, I will speak for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not a teacher. I don't know what you're going through. And I'm loud. I'm certain. I'll just say it. I don't care. You know, that's what I'm here for. I speak for the people who elected me. So,
Yeah.
if I make people mad, I make you mad. I'm sorry, but there's a problem.
Ms. Carey, how many virtual kids come back?
Livermore's at 90%.
Good.
Good.
And I hope we keep growing. I really do. And I think some parents are it's either they go back to school or I'm going to be an alcoholic.
Okay. Are we ready to move on from this?
I'm sorry. It shouldn't have been that long, and I was not attacking Tommy. I don't want you to think I was attacking you or attacking Jody. It's just, I'm tired of hearing data. I want to hear about our kids. I want to know that our kids are getting what they need. It looks good on paper, but is it really working with our kids? That's what's important to me.
All right. Thank you. Sometimes there's discussions like this needs to come out so we can work on issues on it to improve, and trial and error sometimes. Does anyone else have anything else to comment on this evening? If not, do I hear someone to entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
Second,
Who was second?
Bumpus.
Okay, Ms. Bumpus. Ms. Gunnerman made the motion. All right. All in favor say yes.
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 Okay, 5 yeses. Thank you. We are adjourned.